What are some study tips for high school students who are struggling and want to improve? Study in short bursts. I remember a psych prof in college saying it's been proven that after 20 to 30 minutes of studying your brain starts to retain less and less information. So study for 20 to 30 minutes, take a quick 10-minute break, then go back to studying. Don't procrastinate or take a break before doing your work. The second you get assigned homework, start it immediately after school. This one might be obvious, but it's something that helps me out. This is not exactly a study tip, but if you don't understand anything, no matter how stupid, never shy away from asking a teacher. If you use flashcards, start with 2 or 3 and slowly add in more to the deck once you've mastered a few. I used to think flashcards didn't work because I'd sit there with a deck of 50 wondering why I couldn't remember any when I got back to the beginning. Maybe this is obvious for some people, but was a life-changing moment for me when a high school teacher recommended, like, oh, duh. A change of scenery does wonders. No matter how amazing your desk at home is, studying in the library is way more productive due to social pressure and your brain knowing that you're here to study. When I'm trying to learn something, I pretend that I'm teaching someone, and for some reason this helps. Write notes down. There's something about reading notes written down by yourself, and it stays longer in your memory. Treat it like a job. Hit the books Monday through Friday the 9th of May. Work in the library, not your room or apartment. Don't miss a class. Work ahead during that 40 hours. This method worked wonders for me, and I never had to stay up late trying to cram stuff. Place your phone in another room while studying. There's apps that help you stay off your phone while studying. For example, one that grows a tree when you have the app open and kills it if you leave the app too soon, and eventually you can look back on the forest you've grown through your studying. Don't study in your bed. Go somewhere else to study, desk, library, school, and don't be afraid to ask your teacher or academic counselor what they think you should do. Most teachers are always willing to help students who show they care. I learned from my experience that studying for hours doesn't mean anything if I'm not taking in stuff and really understanding things enough to the point I could explain it or describe it within some other example cases / problems. So ideally finding the best way you learn and then sticking to it. Do you like to rephrase things to understand it, or draw it out, or other visual aids? Maybe saying what you think is important out loud is the way to go. Many options, but sticking by one or a few that suits you best and gradually working out how to improve that process is probably a really efficient way to study than reading everything and then trying to memorizing things over and over again for a long period of time. Break the work down into smaller amounts. Make note cards or outlines. Rewriting the work can help you remember. It also can highlight brief facts that are easier to remember versus large paragraphs. Read it out loud. Find someone to study with. Study at the library or a coffee shop instead of at home. If you can afford it, get a cheap second laptop that is only for school. Do not install any programs other than what you need for your classes. Only use the laptop for school. Only do schoolwork on that laptop. These 2 things saved me. Same here. I needed to get away from distractions. My freshman year of college I was failing classes for the first time. I would reward myself for 15 minutes of studying with a quick game of Counter-Strike or diving down some hole on the internet. 4 hours later I was still playing. From then on I would bike over to the library with nothing but my study materials, go to the very top floor, where there was nobody, and sit down at a desk until I finished. It was the only way I could stay disciplined. Remove the option to do anything but what you set out to do. So for second language classes, Duolingo is a lifesaver. It makes casual study much easier. Also, Khan Academy is an excellent tool that I strongly encourage you use. Stop being so worried about freaking up right now. You can fix it far easier than you think. High schools put so much pressure on you to figure out what you want to do with your life. But some college professors have told me that they were in like 2 or 3 years to a program before they found what they were actually passionate about. I switched from sociology to English, and then I remembered that I love history more than anything else. So don't worry about it too much. My dad didn't go to college until he was 45. My school started putting heavy pressure on kids to choose a career in 8th grade. It was so ridiculous because at that age, kids still don't know what 95% of office workers do. I went to college still not knowing what I wanted to do, so I just majored in something I found interesting and useful, and then fell into my career in hours. Jokes on them. I'm 35 and still just figuring it out as I go along, which honestly is what most people do. Learn to plan. Like, really? Once you get the hang of it, you almost think, why didn't I do this sooner? Know what you got to learn. Get the hang of how long it takes you to study, and make a clear planning from beginning to end. Every subject, everything you need to learn. Set out a complete day. I'm serious. Planning is hard, but it saves stress, thinking, and lets you focus. You have to find out what you need to study for the entire year, for every subject. Find out when exams are, and plan study sessions accordingly. Once you understand how much time is left, you'll enjoy life a lot more. You'll never feel guilty for not studying, because you exactly know what to do. Don't wait for announcements. Don't do it by semester. Every single day. If you need help, it'll even help you. I just don't want you to feel guilty for not studying, stressful for what might come, or think you might not make it. Discipline is hard, but once you do it, you can't stop, as the effort pales to the benefits. High school is one of your best times and you should enjoy it accordingly. Having your planner, you'll always enjoy the stuff available, as you know that specific time is for having fun. Don't be so pressured. It's not as important as you think. Failing only means there are better paths for you to take. What's important is focusing on finding what you really want to do, and that pressure will kill your mind off at exam. For legitimate study tips though, depending on your course, try to understand and analyze the key concept and methodology of solving problem instead of memorizing blindly. Understand why this method is used instead, and exercise it with your newly found analysis result and understanding. Little and often. 4-hour chunks. Not only do you remember information better if you revise notes/read textbooks, but doing it this way is less daunting and helps to build good habits. Combine this with the fact that writing anything down helps you remember it much better. Always test yourself on what you've learned to see if it really stuck. Exam questions and past papers are probably the best way to study topics you finished, as you're literally coming up against the style of question in the exam. Don't be afraid to ask teachers. They're literally paid to help you learn. Source: currently Oxford University applicant. I find that listening to music helps me to study. If I'm not, then I'm semi-concentrating on the world around me, which distracts me from my work. And if you're studying long term, then you could divide your breaks by when your albums end, if you choose to listen to entire albums. Have a 3,000 word paper due in a couple months. Count how many days you have left until it's due, and divide it by the word count. 3,000 words/60 days equals a measly 50 words a day. Even when you stack a few different papers at once, you might end up only writing 100 to 200 words a day, which is nothing. Even better is to take off a couple days at the end solely for editing, so you are not writing up until the due date, and can have some time to process what you want the paper to say efficiently. I'm in law school now and still write my papers this way. There's no better feeling than seeing a due date coming up, and knowing you already have 2,500 words written, while everyone panics around you. Develop a healthy sleep schedule. If you're not getting enough sleep, it's much harder to concentrate and work efficiently. If you haven't already, visit your school psychiatrist and do what you can to get tested for everything and anything. ADHD, OCD, ASD, anything. If there is a medication you can take to improve your study skills, it's more than worth it. Cognitive testing, diagnosis, and medication can be godsends. But I really hate when they're touted as magic instant fixes. Especially medication. Medication doesn't improve your study skills. It makes you more able to improve your study skills. You don't take a pill and suddenly become super great at studying. Meds just fix a lesson whatever's going on with your brain chemistry that's making it impossible to sit down and read your organic chemistry textbook. Similarly, a diagnosis doesn't mean you get handed an instant cure for whatever's going on with you. All a diagnosis does is offer up a few explanations for what's going on with you and narrow down which coping strategies are most likely to help. They're basically tools. You need to learn how to use them before they really do anything. I guess what I'm trying to say is yes, absolutely get tested and try medication legally if you think that it'd help. But don't just get a diagnosis, take a pill, and call it good. Your life will be so much better if you work on learning tricks/coping mechanisms/techniques for studying, time management, basic organizational habits, etc. I'm really bad at remembering things, unless they're said in a silly way, or written in different colors. I'd have my college roommate you can have a friend or parent, or sibling say something important I needed in a silly voice or sing it to the tune of a song. I'd highlight my notes, or rewrite them in different colors. I'd use pink for all vocabulary words and definitions. Important dates I'd use green, etc. I don't know you, but I'll say what I'd tell my high school self. Stop procrastinating. Yes, the work is too easy, it's beneath you, and even if you manage to pass with decent enough grades to get into college, this waiting till the last second thing won't fly there. Get good at time management, finish work early, and do the readings at least twice without skipping words or lines. School ends faster than you think, but only if you pass all your classes. This may be niche, but for me, it was figuring out my mental health. I had an anxiety disorder all my life, but never got diagnosed or even flagged. A lot of the tips in this thread are things I'd try to implement but fail to, and then end up in a cycle of self-hate. Sometimes, not always, the issue is deeper than just moving to the library and not being friends. Don't fear failure. One reason lots of kids struggle with school is the pressure. But there are many paths in life. 99% of them don't rely on how well you did at school. And all of them are good. Once you take the pressure off, you are more free to succeed however that looks to you. Study with your friends. Last year, my app physics teacher did not know how to do physics such that he couldn't answer his own quiz questions. He'd probably get a 2 on the exam. Anyways, my friends and I would frequently hop on Discord to study together. I or one of my friends would screen share millisecond paint in order to show the others how we did something. Ultimately, this helped 2 of the 3 of us pass the app exam despite the unfortunate teacher. I have been there. This is how I somewhat managed to achieve my minimum goals. 1. Got rid of distractions. 2. Picked better options when talking about having fun and relaxing sports and chilling vs drinking and drama. 3. Learn how to take breaks instead of studying non-stop because I was afraid of failing. With those 3 steps I naturally improved. I stopped wasting time, and this allowed me to use this time on better ways to relax. Once your body and mind are feeling well, you'll be less stressed and learn better. Assuming that you have normal cognitive capacity and that your household environment is healthy, there is no magic tricks. Simplify and you will improve. The best thing the military ever taught me was how to learn. You need to figure out how you learn. I personally learn best by moving and experiencing. If I'm reading a textbook or manual, I try and walk around while doing it. If it's a physical thing, I do it over and over and over until it's an kind of mindless thing. If you're worried about failing, find ways to make yourself fail. You'll learn that failure isn't the end of the road. There's always another option. This goes for everything about studying to life in general. Study, take the test. If you get a B instead of an A, but you know your weaker areas now and you know where to improve. If you get that A, great. Now keep studying. If you get an F, good. Now you know something didn't work, or that you have lots of things you get to learn now. The fact that you want to improve tells me you have the ability to do so. I don't know the actual name of what it's called, so please excuse me, but you know how you learned please excuse my dear Aunt Sally for order of operations? Make up your own sentences or songs to remember lists or anything of the sort. The funnier it is, the easier to remember. This, seriously, helped me all through college. Make sure you're attending every class. Show up early if you can. If your school offers time to study, or you have spares, utilize them. Work your ass off when you need to. Don't procrastinate. Wake up early so you're not drowsy for first block. Try and make the smartest kid in your class your competition. Push yourself to be better than them. Study for 1 to 2 hours every night just reviewing everything you did in class that day. Take breaks while studying. Try to study somewhere that isn't going to get you sidetracked. No distractions. I went from a 65 average in my grade 11 year to a 90 average in my senior year. Just takes hard work and good focus. The fact that you want to improve is the first step. I can't really give advice based on personal experiences because I never really studied for exams in high school, but studies show that learning in the evening and before sleep greatly improves your ability to memorize the content. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't study during the day at all. Another study shows that writing the content down again yourself and making good looking notes help you memorize it a lot better as well. It's important to fully focus your brain on the studies. Turn off or put away any distractions like your phone, your PC or anything else. Set a time you have to focus on studying completely followed by a break 1 hour of studying and then a 15-minute break. Also having enough sleep before the exam helps you focus during it. Honestly, I never studied once in high school and today is my move-in day at college. I'm about to get reamed. Make good study habits now. I type the notes I took in class. Rewriting or typing information forces you to read your materials. Doesn't mean you'll necessarily pay attention the first time you reread it, but it is a refresher in your mind. Plus, you can organize your notes, add a sidebar to add quiz questions for yourself, and a bunch of other things to enhance study tips. I then go through those notes the night before a test on a 20-minute rotation for each subject I had to study. With a 5-minute break between each 20 minutes, I only kept materials in rotation until I felt confident. I was always one of the top test takers, 90% or above.